YouTube show, full of fun facts you need to know. Carl rings the bell and the members show to the GMP Morning Show. Featured guests will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.
Hola, bon dia, alegria. Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show, a live stream. And there you are, podcast. How are you this morning? Yes, it's an hola, bon dia, brugia this morning. A witchy good day to you this morning. How's it going? Do let me know. We'll have a little chat about celebrating Halloween here in Portugal. Just checking that everything is working on sound and vision. I believe it is. Good morning to you. Bah, you frightened me there, T-Duck, with your boo and bon dia. Got some great, thanks to you in part, T-Duck, got some great memes, Halloween memes this morning. Bon dia from rainy Azeitown. What a beautiful part of the country to be in. Yeah, a little bit drizzly here too. I can see some blue in the sky there. Hopefully we'll have some more of that later on. Bon dia from the rainy Azeitown. Then tell us what it's like to live there in the place of the runny cheese and fabulous wines there, friends of motion. What else do you like about being in Azeitown? Very close to Sesimbra, of course, and the Arabada National Park. Excellent location. Right. Who else is in this morning? Coach Turner was in early doors, 7:57. Bon dia, Gumpers. A feliz quinta-feira, como estão? Training and coaching later, though missing having little feet running around the house. Having children's day seems to feed a deep need. How lovely. We'll come back to your God Squad tip of the day. And fartlek continued with your high intensity interval training updates for this week. Thanks, Coach, very much indeed for those. James was in also early this morning. How you doing, James? Bon dia, Gumpers. Feliz quinta todos. Como tem passado? Mr. S also spending a lot of time with us at the moment. Bon dia a todos os presentes. Hello to all present. Good day to all present. My main goal is to see all of Portugal and live in as many places as possible. Mr. S, I have a handy map for you for that. Oh, and a transport solution as well. You can go from the far north where there are funny accents, cold, and farmers, and allegedly the true capital, and the place where everyone moved to France. This is one of those terrible and hilarious maps that we'll stick up on the Portugal Club. Just posted up a load of old memes up there this morning. Thanks for those who were popping in this morning over at GMP VIP. Nice to see you there. You can go all the way down to the south to booze and foreigners on their summer vacation whilst crossing the lazy people desert. Bit harsh and unkind, isn't it? Whilst traversing the place of the bullfights and horses, where the Spanish were defeated and where the people are most practical, resourceful, and hospitable. You're very welcome. Thanks, Terrible Maps. Send that on to you, Mr. S, if you need it, if you want to use that as a kind of visual, geographical bucket list to tick off all those regions. Talking of bucket lists, we'll have a look at Dougie's latest article in the Portugal News. Poignant, prescient, and funny, of course, as always, with Dougie Hughes on the pen, or probably the word processor. And catching up on what he's been up to, how he's been, what's been motivating him and his lifestyle in the last year or so. So a really nice article to share from Dougie over at the Portugal News. A quick couple of looks at some news items. It is still a fifth day, as it were. Fifth Thursday, I beg your pardon, of the month, and we're back to first Friday action and regular, normal as it gets anyway. Normal programming will resume tomorrow. So where was I? Yes, Mr. S traveling all of Portugal there. Good plan, love that, and I will do that for 2 years. And I think it's fair to say you'll have a pretty good look, but you'll still really only be scratching the surface there, Mr. S. Right? Would you agree? Bon dia, Gumbers. From Jackie as well. Got a chocolate-based Halloween meme, of course. Sent that to you this morning, Jackie, especially. Bon dia and happy Halloween, Gumpers, from One Bag and a Passport. Hi, Mike and Karen. Hope you had a great day yesterday. What was going on at the meetup? I wasn't able to make it yesterday, but what happened there? I got word that there was a seaweed inspired part of the catering, and which prompted this little clip from Gabby. Thank you, Gabby, for this. We've popped this up this morning on our YouTube channel. Well, this is lovely. I love seeing these little gulls at play on the beach. Have a very good awareness, don't they, of where the water is at any given moment. Apparently, they are Narcesia or Narcesia, I'm going to go with passarinhos. Is that passenger pigeons, possibly there? I thought they were, what are they called? They have a name that literally describes how they um, stroll up and down the beach like that in unison with the waves. Very nice. Thank you very much, Gabby, for sending that to me, and thank you for letting us show on the show and pop it on our YouTube channel. And she is on Instagram for more like that and more love of Portugal. Silver.coast.portugal, or in Portuguese, well, silver.coast. Punt Portugal, kind of, right? Excellent. Bon dia alegria from T-Duck, of course, to the Gumper Nation. He's addressing the Gumper Nation this morning. And a boo, of course. And a bon dia Portugal from João Ernesto as well. Looks good and sounds good. Oh, thanks. It's always nice to have that confirmation from your POV. Bon dia Malta from a beautiful, warm and sunny Bairrada this morning. Very good. Okay, so we did have a weather warning yesterday, and it did pour down in the night here and late last night, just as I was taking the blooming dog out for a walk. The little dog wouldn't go out. She knew she was going to get wet. She's old and wise, whereas Jimmy, the younger foolish dog, but he and I both went out and got soaked late last night. I'm glad it's warm and sunny for you in the Bairrada. Lee McGrady, how's it for you in the capital, Lee? Good morning, people, says Lee. Lovely to see you, Lee. Always nice to see your greetings on the screen. And João Ernesto, another Portugal bucket list item visited on Tuesday, the 516, the 516 Arauca. Thank you for that. I didn't get round to that pronunciation note. Thanks, Antonio F., for that. The 516 Arauca Bridge from the lovely village of Alvarenga. If you haven't yet, you must check it out. Yeah, and we'll talk to you about that when we see you on Tuesday, John, which will be great to catch up with you. And you captured some fantastic video. Lovely map. Munson, Beaja, igualmente to you. Lord and Lady Travanca also here. All rise. And greetings from a very wet Algarve. Oh, thank you, Paul, for that tip yesterday of a great tree surgeon who's happy to do very difficult, challenging tree work, arborism, all over the country. So we've got that in the Portugal Club contact book in my little black book over there, thanks to Paul on this occasion. And that was added yesterday. We've got a whole load of contacts, of course, there to help you in your life in Portugal. In our classroom, it's the Carl's contacts in the classroom, and this is the chap you met yesterday, who sounds like he did a great job. They are Tree Care. It's good. It does what it says on the tin, doesn't it? Tree Care, and Philippe is the head honcho. They're the Grand Fromage, and he did a great job for Paul yesterday. So if you want a tree, if you're having one of those wonderful moments where you've woken up this morning needing a tree surgeon, and hey presto, there we are. We found one for you, or Paul has. You're very welcome, and there's the link to it. In the Portugal Club right there on your screen now. Well done. We finally have a new car. That whole episode has been completed. Where did you go? What did you get in the end? Colin will be very pleased to find out that that's been resolved. And what a journey it's been, Barak. That's coming out on Netflix in a new 10-part docu-series, dramatized. It didn't need much adding to it, actually. It was pretty dramatic in real life. Barak, Lord Travanca buying a car on Netflix, or is it Prime that you're going to be on, with that riveting up and down journey, roller coaster ride of emotions of trying just to buy a car here in Portugal? Well done. Congratulations. In fact, I think I'm going to get, that's been such a long and arduous task that you, my friend, are going to get one of these. See what it says there, celebrating your Portuguese milestones along the way and with you there. So the whole community, I'm sure, delighted and breathing a sigh of relief that you've been united with a new car. Well done. Well done, Lord Franco. Okay, so the Storytellers lunchtime meetup was great. Thanks for that feedback with another incredible meal. What was it like? What did you have? Let me know, please, in the chat if you don't mind. Was there any Halloween inspiration in there, I wonder? Happy Halloween. Good morning to you, Anna. Thank you for those lovely pictures that you sent us. Happy Halloween from Cartera. And those were sent on 913-590-303. Of course, love to receive your pictures and videos on 913-590-303. Heading in from Spain at the moment, some dark clouds. Wow, suitably Halloweenian or Halloween-esque. Thank you, Friends of Motion, with your report, your answer to my question on Azetal. It's great in the middle of vineyards and mountains, close to the ocean. My perfect weather is where grapes grow. Yeah, where do you want to be? Anywhere where grapes grow. Why is it Arauca? We don't say Dauru, Duru. Well, I was saying Aruca. Yeah, Antonio F. Could you maybe do you want to send me 913-590-303 your pronunciation as you do from time to time, Antonio? That'd be awesome if you're in a position to do so. Official confusion has occurred in Pontelima this morning. I was somewhat surprised to see that, but I always defer, of course, to Antonio F. Arauca. I was saying Aruca as in Veruca, but as I understood it from the missive from Antonio F, it was Arauca. Hi, Antonio F. Bit wet down here in the Algarve, although rain is welcome here in the Algarve. You've always got that, haven't you, to be thankful for when it does finally arrive with you. And that situation in Spain that I discovered yesterday morning when Pete shared that news with us, Aruca. Okay, you say that, and that's what I was. Aroca, maybe. So Douro Aroca, not Arauca, Aroca. Okay. Let's just see what happens with that with Antonio F. Yeah, that terrible, terrible situation in Valencia that I discovered thanks to Pete yesterday morning, or courtesy of Pete yesterday morning. Just to let you know that Portugal offers Spain all necessary help following devastating killer floods, and as you would expect, governments working together to give whatever help we can. I don't think we need to dwell on that. There's nothing useful that can be added to that this morning. Suffice to say, what a horrible situation. I will talk more about disaster preparedness in Lisbon, just a little bit more on that, bringing it closer to home. But what else can you do with a situation like that in Valencia, apart from look on in horror and hope and pray that people's lives get back to some kind of normal as soon as possible, and that those who are in need get that help they need ASAP. A really grim situation and horrible to see so close to home there. Okay, smash that like button, says, and no, says Thunder. I clicked on a comment and another one came in right under my mouse button right there. So smash that like button, says T-Duck, and also toilet roll. Don't know why. Perhaps that mystery, as other mysteries will be. So it is a day of mystery, isn't it, Halloween? So perhaps that mystery will be solved. Bon dia, says Pete. Morning to you, Pete. Happy Halloween. Bread for God. November 1st, I know Big Tony. And All Souls, hope you are having a great week. Well, more to say on that, and we will have a look at how the Portuguese celebrate Halloween. Well, this time of year, okay, because talking about celebrating Halloween doesn't really do it justice. We have All Saints Day, which is a public holiday tomorrow, and we have All Souls Day on the 2nd, on Saturday. So this is a festival which I think its origins, it is rooted in more toilet roll in case you need it. Okay, buy toilet roll. I think maybe the disaster preparedness. Okay, our first bit of a suggestion coming in for disaster preparedness. I think it might be right there. But yes, this time of the year upon which Halloween's commercial juggernaut has been built, and what I see as like a devil worshipping festival, basically. And I still can't remember that word when you demand with menaces, like a protection racket. But it's a kid's protection racket, isn't it? Trick or treating. You know, we want something nice from your house. Otherwise, something bad's going to happen. I think that's drifted quite a long way away from the original intentions of this time of year, which I think naturally are the thinnest veils between the worlds of the living and the dead. It's our reminder, isn't it, that we are mortal and that we remember the dead, and we perhaps become more comfortable, or at least give more attention to than we do at other times of the year, our own mortality. So remembering the dead, contemplating death itself, and seeing how close life and death are uh, to each other in reality, naturally. And it's especially obvious at this time of year, it would appear, with with the darkness, the literal darkness of the night, and the the darkness of this time of year. That's how I see it. That's how I've got it, and that's something useful, is it not, to be reminded? I mean, it's not pleasant necessarily, but it's useful to be reminded of our mortality. I know some of you will be saying, "Well, I don't need any more reminders of that." As well as alongside my dodgy knees and IBS or whatever else, what other ailments that are those sentinels of doom. I think it can be useful. It can be useful, and well done, Portugal, for not only perhaps honoring Halloween a little bit more every year, but also we have this All Saints and All Souls festivals as well. So I'll say a little bit more about that after some memes on the matter. So what have we got? We opened, didn't we, with the Portuguese ghost, which is a cracker. There you go. Regular ghost on the left, traditional in a white sheet. Where kids get shouted at, don't they, for pulling the sheets off the bed and cutting holes. Who among you did that? Actually cut holes in sheets, and your mum went mad about that. There's you take the throw of grandma's bed there and end up as actually an LGBTQIXYZ ghost there on the right as well. Should you want to honour two particular modern what would they be? Festivals or occurrences in the year. Okay, going to recognizing this is a difficult time for British witches. Apparently, British witches in the Algarve, since Brexit, can't get half the ingredients they need for the spells that they're making. So spare a thought for them. However, if Marmite, and some say this is the work of the devil, if Marmite is what's needed in any of your, it's a breakfast spell, is it not? It's a breakfast concoction. Thank you, Vitor Costa, for thinking of me. 469. I've seen it more expensive than that. It's a little jar as well, isn't it? That's a tiny one. Stock limitado, trying to, as well as toilet roll, trying to start a run on Marmite there. You can get it at 469 in Aldi at the moment, apparently, as well, if that's part of your hubble bubble toil and trouble on your breakfast toast. Right there. There's all sorts of angles. So we've covered LGBT in a funny sort of way there. We've covered Brexit. Let's go to the ecological angle. Apparently, buying plastic skeletons for Halloween is terrible for the environment. Locally sourced, all natural skeletons are much more environmentally friendly. They take a bit of prep work. I think Lee might be able to have a view on this, but it's so worth it in the end, and you're doing your bit for the planet there. So well done if you're taking that particular environmentally friendly and an ecologically supportive approach there to finding a locally sourced, all natural skeleton. Well done. And finally, of course, this is how we do Halloween here, isn't it? Only one pastel de nata per child. There you go. So it really is good morning. Do you see what I did on the show slide? Good morning, Portugal, if we're honouring the dead. Mourn, morning, Portugal, this morning, and only one pastel de nata per child tonight. I think they are legit pastel de natas. That is a big old bucket of pastel de natas. Still only would have cost about 20 quid from Pingados, to be fair, and little espressos thrown in too. There are those among you who I know are thinking, I will do the Ferrero Rocher surprise, which is a Brussels sprout. You take the chocolate out of the Ferrero Rocher and then wrap a sprout in there. The kids go away happy, and in the dark lighting conditions of night and trick or treating, they take a big, probably pop the whole Brussels sprout in, having unwrapped it hastily in the dark, only to discover it's not the Ferrero Rocher that they were expecting. You could do similar things, couldn't you? You could use Marmite as Nutella as well. How about that? So let us know how you get on tomorrow morning, and if a brick has been thrown in through your window on that basis. I still can't remember that word. It's racketeering, profiteering, demanding money with menaces. That's what I think Halloween is in many ways. And what a shame that, well, like so many things, I suppose it gets reduced to its commercial worst when there is something very useful potentially in there, which I hope to tell you a bit more about now. Let's go to a very good blog, actually. Yeah, don't forget, it is a public holiday tomorrow, celebrating Halloween and All Saints' Day here in Portugal. This is a very nice blog called Now in Portugal. Let's have a little look here that what Yvonne Ivanescu is saying, who's lived in Portugal since 2020. It's nowinportugal.com. Today, I use my knowledge to help fellow travelers just like you explore Portugal like a pro. People spend an exceptional amount of time in late October and early November honoring life and death. There are Halloween, All Saints, and All Souls Day, as I've told you already this morning. And this is from her blog of May of this year. These three interconnected days come around the same time. Well, they follow each other, don't they, in sequence, and their relationship and differences might be confusing. Let us explain. Thank you, Yvonne, for doing this. The Christian church traditionally observed Halloween as a day when worshippers would prepare themselves by fasting. I don't suppose any of us have done that. Mrs. M might have done, but not for that particular reason. Fasting before the feast day, the All Saints' Day, celebrated on November the 1st, begging for chocolate. Maybe that's where the chocolate and food comes in, begged from neighbours. This day is followed by All Souls' Day. You've got to be careful how you say that. On November the 2nd, the next day, the combination of these three holy days is known as All Hallowtide. Did you know that? Put simply, on All Saints' Day, Christians remember all Christian saints, known and unknown. How do you remember them if they're unknown? But this holiday is more than just that. All Saints' Day is rich in history and tradition. So where does All Saints' Day originate from? What is the origin of All Saints? How was it celebrated hundreds of years ago? How is it observed around the world? And how is All Saints' Day in Portugal celebrated? Let's discover. So the beginning, Halloween or All Hallows Eve, is the eve of All Saints' Day, hallow meaning saint. Some, or holy, right? Some researchers say it evolved from the ancient Celtic holiday of Samhain. I haven't even mentioned that today, and that's a very important thing for the pagans among us, isn't it? Celebrated on October the 31st. Today, this harvest festival marked the beginning of winter. You see, we're so out of touch with these cycles, aren't we? With our air conditioners and our electric fires and so on. Samhain was the Celtic lord of death, and his name literally meant summer's end. Yes, take that. As winter was often connected to darkness, death, and cold, the Celts quickly made a connection with human death, as you might. October 31st, also known as the Eve of Samhain, was a time of Celtic pagan sacrifice. It was thought that during this time of year, the veil between the worlds of the living and the dead was at its thinnest. That's certainly something I remember and has an impact on me. It was a time when Samhain allowed the souls of the dead to return to the living. I guess you could to be remembered, right? Ghosts, elves, fairies, and goblins would return and prey on or kidnap those who had previously harmed them. Yikes! To ward off spirits, locals dressed up in costumes and would light community fires. The druids, the priests, would also offer burn sacrifices like crops, animals, and even humans. We do that a lot most days, though, don't we, here in Portugal, like burning animals to eat, generally speaking. And even humans, they would then examine each sacrifice's burned remains. This is getting grisly, Yvonne, to predict what would happen in the next year. Today, on Halloween, some people still greet each other by saying Samhain blessings. Try that at your local Pingados today. There's a Samhain traditional celebration going on right there. Thank you very much. So All Saints' Day has a complicated history. Unlike most major liturgical events such as Christmas, Easter, and the Pentecost, it does not derive from big biblical texts. The church established All Saints to respond to different situations. So what is the origin of this festival then? Let's get into it, she says. Thank you, Yvonne, of nowinportugal.com. All Saints' Day originated in the 4th century in the Eastern Church, Eastern Christianity, in Turkey, Syria, and Egypt. Christians celebrated the Feast of All Martyrs on the Sunday following Pentecost. So how can we celebrate it now on November the 1st? Yeah, the question on everyone's lips. And the answer is historians trace the commemoration of the deceased on the European continent back to the Roman festival of Lemuria celebration, which was held in ancient Rome, the Lemurians. According to Roman mythology, lemures are the damned souls of men and women who cannot find peace because they died in a tragic or exceptionally violent manner. They frequently visit the homes of the living to scare them off. Romans celebrated the Lemuria festival on May the 9th, 11th, and 13th. Now, wearing a disco wig, I don't know, that might do it, I suppose. In 609, the Catholic Church officially took over this feast. That's what they do, isn't it? Pope Boniface the Fourth, dedicated the holy building of the. I panic every time I see a Roman numeral. I must go back to being at school and being put on the spot by my Latin teacher, fearing a thrashing. Building of the Pantheon in Rome to all Christian martyrs and the Blessed Virgin, moving the Feast of All Saints to May the 13th. By the 9th century, it's a movable feast, literally. By the 9th century, Christianity had spread into Celtic areas, gradually blending with and trying to replace ancient pagan traditions and ceremonies. By 835, by decree of Emperor Louis the Pious, Pope Gregory the Fourth, and they designated November the 1st as the Feast of All Saints. So there you go, making it a day of obligation. Not now, Yvonne. Make it a day of obligation throughout the Frankish Empire. These are such great. I was going to say such great times to remember. None of us are that old. Traditions and customs related to All Saints' Day. While it is a holy day of obligation for Catholics, attendance at worship services is optional, but recommended for other Christian denominations. So there you go. So what do Catholics do on All Saints' Day? What will your Catholic neighbours be doing? On the solemnity of All Saints, Catholics must attend Mass unless they are gravely ill, as this holiday is a holy day of obligation. It is a day to remember and honour all the popular saints, known or unknown. All Saints' Day is common to Catholics, Eastern Orthodox Church, and associated Eastern Catholic churches, but the date differs, as we've discovered there. So there you go. All Saints, All Souls, a little bit of background there, which is all just condensed in this day and age to popping down the supermarket and buying an overpriced. Actually, no, some of them are very good value, aren't they, for a sheet of plastic and a witch's hat and a bag of chocolates. But that's what it seems to have come to after all that Boniface and Gregory did for us. What do? We go to Pingo's and get a cheap old fancy dress outfit and demand chocolate with menaces at neighbouring doors. And I will put the link to that. You can find your way to that through the Portugal Club as well. You get a reminder, of course. We have all the reminders of public holidays at the Portugal Club too, which is quite useful. I'm not sure if Yvonne takes us all the way through to what goes on or how that became Halloween. But Portugal is not the only country where All Saints is celebrated. Mexico, of course, celebrates it as well. Day of the Dead is a huge thing, of course, isn't it, in Mexico? And yes, in Portugal, on the morning of the 1st of November, families head to flower shops to buy seasonal flowers such as chrysanthemums. So these will be the traditional flowers that will be bought to honor the past, past with a T and a double SED. Families head to flower shops to buy seasonal flowers such as chrysanthemums, orchids, gypsophilia, and royal ferns before going to the family cemetery. So you will see Portuguese families at the family cemetery tomorrow. Besides placing flowers on the graves of family members, the Portuguese keep their relatives' resting sites spotless. Family members also light candles, place flowers in vases if you're American, and pray for the souls of their loved ones. But there is another thing that happens on All Saints' Day in Portugal. Now, Pete mentioned this. The religious celebrations continue in the traditional Portuguese way in the afternoon. Families gather around the table at home to eat seasonal delicacies and snacks like dried figs, walnuts, and roasted chestnuts. That's the nice overlap, isn't it, with the San Martino festival, the jarapiga and the roasted chestnuts. But for kids, the best part of the day is the century-old tradition of Pão por Deus, bread for God. Portuguese children walk through the streets of their neighborhood in small groups. So Portugal was way ahead of your blooming trick-or-treating, wasn't it? Portuguese children walk through the streets of their neighborhood in small groups and knock on doors asking for bread for God. When they ask for bread, they recite verses and get bread, chestnuts, cakes. This is great, Yvonne, thank you. And get bread, chestnuts, cakes, pomegranates, walnuts, or almonds as an offering. Now, if you're a kid, you'd probably want the cakes there, wouldn't you? And you'd put the pomegranates, chestnuts, walnuts, and almonds to one side. They place these offerings inside handcrafted cloth bags. Portugal, you do this so much better than Pingados and the Chinese shops, the chingados as well, with all that plastic stuff. This is lovely. Handcrafted cloth bag for the handcrafted local seasonal delicacies with autumn themes or made from fabric scraps. To keep this Portuguese tradition alive, most primary schools in Portugal help children make these bags as a crafts project for the week before All Saints' Day. How lovely! And this is the poem they recite. Oh, tia, da pão por Deus. Pão por Deus. Aunt, do you give bread in the name of God? Se eu não tenho Deus. If you do not have it, may God give it to you. What a lovely blessing that is. And let me read some of the other greetings and give you the translation. Esta casa cheira a broa, aqui mora gente boa. Esta casa cheira a vinho. That sounds like a good one. Aqui mora algum santinho. So this house smells like rustic bread. We're getting a bit Monty Python now, isn't it? Your mother, she smells of elderberries. You do not say that at this time of year. Here live good people. Gente boa. This house smells like wine. And you can say that at this time of year in a really unjudgmental way. And here live some little saints. Alguns santinhos. This tradition has different rituals in Portugal. In Trás-os-Montes, for example, instead of Pão por Deus, children ask for Pão das Almas, the bread for the souls. In some parts of central Portugal, the day is known as Dia do Bolinho, and children knock on doors saying, Dia do Bolinho, which means, Auntie, can you give me a scone? And traditional bolinho is a tiny cake, also known as broa, the cornbread, or broinha, composed of dried almonds, olive oil, honey, and other seasonal delicacies. In some parts of Portugal, godparents give their godchildren a tiny cake known as a santoro. This is lovely information. Thank you to Yvonne at Now in Portugal. Children who asked for Pão por Deus used to get seasonal fruits. However, some people now distribute candy, of course, or other treats in imitation of Halloween traditions. There you go. I will put that link in the chat. I won't go really to the dark side now, where it's a tradition born out of tragedy, which takes us back to the devastating earthquake on November the 1st, of course, in Lisbon. Yes, that's quite the unholy coincidence, isn't it? So let's pop that into the chat. And I've got loads of comments since I've been away reading that. Loads of comments in the chat there. Well, let's have a look at what you're saying over here. Because I do want to come back to the earthquake in Lisbon in a sense, or earthquake preparations, because it's a serious matter there. So there you go. There's Yvonne's reporting on that. Really good. Thank you very much for that. Extortion. That's the word, isn't it? Okay. And a toilet roll was not, that's not disaster preparation. That's what happens to your house if you don't cough up the goodies, the treat. If you don't give treats, you're going to get a trick. You're going to get some free toilet paper. Might not be a bad deal in terms of disaster preparedness. Trick or treat is about me visiting mates with kids and eating the overflow of sweets, only thing Halloween is good for. So you won't be praying and on your knees then, by the sound of it, and communing with the dead there. Don't let it get up to that point. Exploding head, just get a bit of wine. Okay, yeah, stop short there. Have we got that? Have we got the explanation of I'm going to go with Aroka then. Aroka. Both. Yeah, your threatening behavior in the chat has been deleted, T-Duck. I'll bog roll your house. I think I've seen one or two worse things on the internet than that, and in the last 24 hours, for sure. Oh, thanks for that menu there. The fish dish and the duck were both delicious, apparently, at the storytellers there. Okay. And if I'm not mistaken, then I can go with Aroka, can I? Because I was going with Aruka and Arauca. I think it's Aroka. Is that correct? Please, Antonio F., if you don't mind. Okay. Yes. No videos of exploding heads, please, on 913-590-303. Are my posts being ghosted? I'll tell you what, let's stick it to the man, shall we, T-Duck, and we'll put it up. You did a screenshot and you sent it to me, and we'll do it that way. Isn't it amazing how some really, especially at the moment, some truly hideous things can be committed to social media. And a simple, I'll TP your house or I'll bog roll your house gets you a strike. Is that YouTube that's done that? Oh, Google, come on. your sense of priorities is a little bit off. I guess that's, in fact, Portuguese the other day, he kind of shushed me when I started talking about Google. Like it was, maybe it does make a difference. I don't know. And I'm even thinking I should shut up now as a result of that. And T Duck, I'll see you on some obscure social media platform. Should we have been cancelled because of your outburst, your bog roll based outburst this morning? Oh, this just in. Okay, we could get to the bottom. See what I did there? We can get to the bottom, going from toilet roll to pronunciation here. What is it going to be? Listen up closely, please. Is it going to be Arauca, Aroca, or Aruca?
Bom dia, Carl. Yes, the correct spelling is Arouca. Arouca.
Aruca. Oh, you legend, Antonio F. I hope everybody heard that. That was superb. Thank you very much. Aruca. I think that needs to be added somewhere to our podcast facilities. Pop that in the Portugal Club later on, will you? Yeah, okay. Right. Okay, where did after toilet roll gate? What happened? You need a spoon for the nata on the bottom of that bucket, which is a Portuguese saying, of course, isn't it? Have you got your spoon for the nata on the bottom of the bucket? And yes, they are being ghosted. T-Tuck is outraged. FUYT. If you don't fancy paying $4.69 for a few grams, just scrape the scum off the barrel of whatever you're brewing. Same stuff. Oh, honestly. Or are you trying to create something, a nice surprise for the kids who'll be knocking at your door? Racketeering, extortion. There we go. Thank you very much. Is extorting sweets from kids wrong, or is it just showing them who's boss? Pictures, please, of that process tonight, Jackie. Thunder Duck. What's this? Thunder Duck is a Thunder Duck Tube is a pain in the butt with deleting stuff for no reason. You too, honestly. It sounds like it happens to both of you. Yes, you can see one with emojis, but the two with just text are gone. Yes, he's on the YouTube naughty step this morning. Antonio Lemuria, Lemuria. So that's the origin of the Portuguese Lemuria, whining and moaning. Very good. Okay, we learn something every day here, don't we? And my mother passed away on All Saints Day 1 year ago. Wow, John. November the 1st, she was a worthy addition to the lengthy list of true saints. Oh, how lovely. That's beautiful. The closest thing I can get to a sort of blessing is a bit of gumper dust. Yeah, that's for your dear mother there. And yes, may she, God rest her soul, rest in peace. A year ago on November the 1st there, John. Okay, AI has yet to fully grasp the subtleties of threatening humor. Yeah, certainly. He's not over it, folks. There are so many public holidays in Portugal. Wish my teaching career had been here. So November there are downsides to being a teacher here, which include, I believe, when you become a teacher, you just get sent somewhere in Portugal, don't you? Is that right, Antonio F? When you become a teacher, it's only 13 public holidays anyway, says Antonio. Yeah, you qualify as a teacher. And one local one, not forgetting the local one too. And it's like, okay, well, you're off to Braga, but I live in Faro. Never mind, we've got a job for you in a Braga school, and it's quite a long way to commute, by the way. So you might as well move up there as well. Is that right? That's what I've heard, anyway. Right, where were we? Apart from having the least we can do, I think, is have a whip round so we can get the bail money to get T-Duck back. Poochie. He's really upset with them right now. Now there are. Oh yes, I want to read Dougie's article. Sorry, rather a lot of me this morning. But however, it's flown by to 20 to 10. I'll tell you what I'm going to do before I get too carried away. I'm going to go to the God Squad tip of the day then, and. This from the coach, of course. So you want to add a little HIIT training to your exercise mix. Try, if you want to multitask tonight, while you're out trick-or-treating, suddenly burst into a sprint and get out of breath. It'll work really well into your exercise mix, but don't know how to start? Well, slowly, of course. If you've not done any really vigorous exercise for a while, then be careful. He says, whatever activity you're doing, the short efforts should start by being just a little faster than normal. Then over a few weeks, gradually build up until you can go flat out. Yeah, I ever did it on the Gralius slope the other day. My heart was really pounding in my chest. It was quite uncomfortable. That will help avoid doing yourself a mischief, though you will begin. Yeah, there are people, aren't there, Coach, who listen to this advice and those who don't, like me, and end up with a pounding heart in their chest. Though you will begin to notice a difference in your fitness. Remember, it's all good. Yeah, a little bit, a baby step there, as Phil would say. And have you seen, are you a friend of Phil Cooklin's on Facebook? His before and after pictures are just extraordinary. Well done, Phil. Amazing to talk to you about that. And what is it, 40 bags of sugar or something? It's quite incredible, the amount of weight that man has lost. And how he's gone about it is perhaps even more incredible. The technology of that. I'm tempted, says Jackie, to put a sign in my boat window that says Happy Halloween. I accept sweeties from strangers. I did something like that. I had a trick or treat. I get basically one email or message a day from an SEO specialist in Bangladesh or India or somewhere, Indian subcontinent, wanting to work with me. And in a strange moment, I did a trick or treat sort of thing that you're suggesting here, Jackie. And I said to this chap, and we had a good laugh about it in the end. I said, how much I'm going to charge you to work with me if you want to do my SEO. And he said, I don't understand. How much am I supposed to pay you? I said, well, how about we start €100 a day if you want to do my SEO? And in the end, we just exchanged a few giggly emojis. He said, oh, mate, when I get rich, I'll definitely pay you. And it was really nice. But getting those every day is a bit annoying. And so I had a little bit of fun with that. And what a great sense of humor this young man had. Bon dia, Halloween has always been a mystery to me. And my family didn't celebrate it, says Aviva. Good morning to you. Low salaries as well. The system simply reducing your earned pay scale steps and thereby lengthening your retirement time. Other downsides to being a teacher in Portugal. Olga in Europe, 13 months pay, bridging holidays, and yes, terrible pay, but unfortunately that is worldwide. Luisa is a teacher next door. Luisa next door, not Mrs. M, is a teacher, so I get an inside look at the world of teaching there. Thank you for that. All right, should we go to Dougie? I'm thinking of what else I had lined up for you this morning. So we've had a look at how, of course, Halloween, All Saints, All Souls is celebrated here in Portugal. That was great from Yvonne of Now in Portugal. And oh yeah, just a few news headlines then. We have committed spending, I think the government has, to help Spain, which is great news. And some reporting on that from Natasha Don in the Portugal Resident. The president here is looking exhausted in a picture I'm looking at. A week of riots in Lisbon prompts public perception that the state has failed. That's also some good reporting about what is being called the George Floyd moment for Portugal. My question about this, and this is what the president's been saying, is violence is not the answer. What is the answer? What can be done? Clearly, there's a systemic societal issue that was on the go, on the boil, beneath the surface that erupted into the terrible things that we saw in Lisbon with a man losing his life and a bus driver ending up in a very life-threatening condition. Really grim, and not I think. In this time of light and dark, of the veils of between good and bad, you might say. Yes, love is, of course, the answer. I would agree with you, old guy. And how do we bring that to bear? I think that's how we need to apply ourselves. This might be a Halloween message, mightn't it, at this time of year? We've seen very literally the difference between life and death in some Lisbon neighborhoods at the moment. Battles, good and evil, light and dark. It's plain to see, especially poignant Halloween this year, and something that we can't just simply have an opinion about if we want it to change. The work needs to be done to tackle the issues that were underlying that, the conditions that led to that boiling point and how it erupted in the last couple of weeks there. And the president looking suitably exhausted and doing his best to bring calm to the country, or that particular part of the country, it should be said as well, to also keep it in perspective. Also, some news on the dark side here. In a way, I suppose, it's preparedness. And this is the Portugal news. And I keep telling you so that you know that on the day of the election, there's going to be a earthquake test, preparedness test, simulations and so on. I think a few sirens will be going off as well. And particularly in Lisbon, I was thinking to myself, hold on a minute, they've got tsunami warnings in Cascais and down in the Algarve. Don't ever see anything on the Silver Coast here. Lisbon, as you might expect, a huge metropolitan area with a huge population, obviously needs to have some sort of preparation. We mentioned the terrible earthquake of the 18th century. Lisbon has apparently 86 official meeting points where citizens must go immediately in case of disasters, and an online platform with the preventive steps they must follow to protect themselves, according to the city council. Now, I mention this because if you're a foreigner and you're not up to speed on this, in addition to the meeting points and the LX Resist platform, I'm going to open that in another tab. Lisbon residents can also receive an SMS from Municipal Civil Protection specific to alerts in the capital, for which they need to register by sending the text Aviso SLX or Avisos LX to the number 927 944 000. So perhaps I can put that into the chat there. So if you're a Lisbon person, you can get some alerts and learn a bit more about the LX Resist platform. So I'm popping that into the chat for you there. So you can, there you go. That's what, that's the number. Avisos LGIS there, and LGIS Resist platform, which I suspect if you actually, I've already loaded that up for you there. And that's Resiliencia Urbana for Lisbon. This is specifically a Lisbon project, but of course, some of you live in Lisbon or maybe visiting there, and this is a resource you might need. I'll also stick that in the Portugal Club. I wasn't aware of that until doing a little bit of research this morning. So there you go. Let me have, my coffee's going cold. Just talk among yourselves for a moment. Yum. I do have a jingle for that, don't I? Actually, I've got so many jingles I need to do. T-Duck, I've got all those stubs, haven't I? And a couple of songs, a couple of AI songs. So we will have a coffee drinking jingle soon, and many others, I suspect, all in good time. I rarely even read that, so I didn't even see it. So now I am as curious as well. Okay, was that a bit too quick there? Let me put it back onto the screen. Carl, what's brugia? The running on the bottom of the screen. Witchy. I've seen that translated as witchy. Normally I say hola, bon dia, alegria. I was saying hola, bon dia, brugia, as in a witchy good morning. Is that a complete nonsense then? Google, not only in the doghouse with T-Duck, with me as well. Yeah, Google Translate. So that backfired on me, didn't it? Okay. That is, if that's what you're talking about as well, James. Yeah, hola, bon dia, brugia, a witchy good day to you. Right, okay, I want to finish with Dougie's article. I think I've told you everything. Oh no, I've got some nice good news. Well, it is to me anyway. I did like the sound of this news that I saw on the Portugal news. Does anyone else here like Padaria Portuguesa? I do. And when I lived in the Lisbon area, I always found it a really nice experience going to this bakery. It's kind of Ottolenghi-ish. If you're familiar with the Ottolenghi restaurants in London or the cookbooks or so on, it has that vibe to it. And I was really pleased to see it. I think it was Avenida de Liberdade where I used to go. And you get a really nice salad, fresh bread, some really nice pratos de dia there in a quite sort of contemporary, healthy, delicious way. And they really brought some great themes together in their Padaria Portuguesa restaurants. They've announced that they plan to create 600 new jobs in 2028 with the opening of another 40 stores in Greater Lisboa and Porto. I thought they might be bringing them to shopping malls, and maybe I get to be able to visit one on the Silver Coast. Anyway, Padaria Portuguesa's PP's investment plan for the next 3 years foresees that the store network will reach 120 by 2028, representing an investment of 16 million euros. The company says in a statement, adding that it estimates that it will achieve a turnover of more than 80 million euros with the creation of 600 new jobs by 2028. Well, good work, Padaria Portuguesa, who expect to employ a total of 1,600 workers in the next 3-year period ending in 2028. Next year, I would make that 2027. But, obviously, with all their multi-millions there, they're probably better at maths than me. Next year, the company will also provide health insurance coverage to all permanent workers, continuing to invest in their training, as well as continue investing in the career and salary progression of employees. The statement reads, in 2024, Padaria Portuguesa expects to reach a turnover of 44 million euros, a value that will result from around 10 million annual transactions. Wow. So one a day per resident here in Portugal. During 14 years of operation, the company has 76 stores nationwide and has 2 production factories in operation. The bread is great. The food is great. Well done, Padaria Portuguesa. Nice economic and business story there for you. Any other fans of that brand here this morning? Carl, did you read about a Portuguese baker has been elected the best baker in the world? No, I'd love to see that. An interesting story to me, having revolved or been in that baking world. I used to work in a bakery in Devon in the UK. I wasn't actually a baker. I was more of an assistant in there. And I've sold bread on an organic veg round and so on, an organic mobile shop. So do love artisan bread. And I would be very interested to hear about the best baker in the world coming from Portugal. Portugal on the map for that. And also, of course, Man United's new manager, gone from Sporting to Man United. That's Mourning, isn't it? I want a bit of feedback on that from my mate Frank, from our mate Frank in the Algarve. He's promised me a little recording about that. And my closest meeting place is right. So you're up to speed on that. My closest meeting place, unless this is a joke, Tito, is right outside my favorite ramen restaurant. Why do I not know about your favorite ramen restaurant? That sounds great. What's it like, I wonder? Tell us more about that, such that others can be aware of it and gather there if necessary. Happy Halloween, everyone, and also happy Diwali, the Festival of Lights from India. Thank you, the Nanu, for that. Very good. Good to see you here, the Nanu, and igualmente, happy Diwali to you as well. So let's close today with talking of honouring life and death. I don't think Doug will mind me referring to his most recent piece in the Portugal news in that way. I'm going to pop it onto the screen for you. You won't be able to read it because it's a whole newspaper page right there. But I'm going to read it out for you as sent to me by Doug. I was elected best human on the planet once. Pretty sure his family and patrons elected him. Who was this? I won Choir Boy of the Year once. And let me tell you that as well. Yeah, I won Choir Boy of the Year, but he was a noisy little so-and-so, so I had to send him back. Thank you very much. Right, okay, Dougie, where is your where are the words for your story here? I'm having to search. I was so well prepared until this moment. Let me just find out. Here we go. I've got it now for you as we conclude the show today. Reading, if you wondered, if you're a friend of Dougie's on Facebook, or you see where he is from time to time as he pops up on the chat here on the Good Morning Portugal show, of course he's the man who wrote the Are You a Gumper story in the Portugal news, which had some interesting feedback, I have to say, from readers who didn't get that it was a joke in the Portugal news. And of course, so many videos he sent to us from his travels around Portugal. Well, he's extended that compass and he's been traveling around the world. Why? Well, over the last couple of years, and life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get, says Doug. Over the last couple of years, I've been on what looks like a permanent jolly. Why? Well, shall I do it in a Doug voice? Well, not only have I been diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease, but I also sustained some pretty serious injuries in what turned out to be a very nasty motorbike accident. That was a really bad moment to take the mickey out of his accent when he's telling us he's been diagnosed with Alzheimer's and fell off a motorbike. But I'm sure he'd see the funny side. We're good mates. And we have some very robust exchanges, I can tell you. But yeah, that's the truth from Doug there. Diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's disease and also sustained some pretty serious injuries in what turned out to be a very nasty motorbike accident. Must have forgotten that I don't actually ride motorcycles, but went ahead and did it anyway. And you remember this if you're a long time Gumper. And he had his motorbike accident. Good morning to you, Erica Kay. Good morning, kids, you say. Nice to see you here. Top and bottom of it, I suddenly realized that tomorrow is never actually a given. At 61 years of age, I consider myself extremely fortunate to have recovered from the injuries as well as I have done. I figured that now must be the time for me to try and see a bit of the world. Tick a few places off the old bucket list. I'm writing this beneath the blissful Mediterranean sunshine, which bathes the island of Malta. It's not bad here. The beer's good. And the food, well, it's pretty much the same sort of thing as you'd find anywhere in the UK. No foreign gruel here. And I noticed that his recent life experiences have made him a much more outspoken person. I think so anyway, unless he was always like that. But he's talking about Italian And some Portuguese food is foreign gruel, the rascal. It's no foreign gruel in Malta, despite being able to wave to the ghost of Colonel Gaddafi standing on the Libyan coast, which is only a stone's throw away. As it is, I'm very grateful to the medical teams at the Royal Stoke University Hospital's major trauma unit. They are highly skilled professionals who helped me through what was a pretty horrible experience. Do you remember that? He does, of course, and we do too. We were very worried about Doug at the time. Okay, what's this Portugal news dated 2nd of November? Oh, I think, do you know what? I think we might have he might have the, what do they call that? As a special term for that? The galley copy or something like that? We might be ahead of publication here. We might be in a lot of trouble. We've breached the embargo here. But anyway, I've started, so I'll finish. Okay, so well done to the Royal Stoke University Hospital's major trauma unit, and to you, Doug, of course, for making that incredible recovery. The team possessed the right tools and talents to put old Humpty together again. Thankfully, they did just that. The anaesthetist knocked me out with a powerful cocktail of happiness potions, and mercifully, I woke up 7 hours later with a number of metal plates, bolts, and screws carefully inserted into my abdomen. Yes, you want to carefully insert anything that's going into the abdominal area, I would say. My words, not his. These things hold my pelvis together in places where that job was once done by solid bone and cartilage. It probably looked like an episode of Bangers and Cash in that operating theatre, but I was the old banger, not a rusty old Triumph Herald. My subframe was all twisted, buckled. He loves his cars. These are great analogies. My subframe was all twisted, buckled, and bashed. But when most people would have seen a basket case, the folks at Royal Stoke Hospital saw a damage repairable, easy when you know how. Of course, the surgeon told me that there was a very small chance that my heart could potentially stop during the extensive procedure. Consultants seem to take delight in frightening the living daylights out of their patients. But I thought that if or when I actually ever make it over to Botswana on safari, there's an equally small chance that I might be eaten by a hippopotamus. Do send that video, 913-590-303. The difference is the travel agent won't be gleefully pointing these pitfalls quite as dramatically as my consultants did. I hope that medical risks are mitigated and therefore probably worth taking. Not that I have much choice if I wanted to walk properly again. What was most frightening of all was what came after I left the hospital. The physiotherapy, the getting on with things on my own without having a team of dedicated nurses on hand 24/7. Not only that, because I'm a bit on the porkier side of the spectrum, I was provided with advice on how to manage my diet from here on in, a sort of biblical handbook of self-imposed post-operative diary virtuousness, which excludes any sort of debauchery or fun. Snore Zeds from Doug there on his article that we're reading now for the Portugal News. According to the leaflets, because I'm a tubster, he says, I must now embrace a pious and morally superior sort of dietary existence, characterized by purity, abstinence, and sobriety. It's all about eating kale and brown rice, followed by a daily routine of Pilates and yoga. If anyone should ever bother inviting me to a convivial gathering again, you'll probably find me sitting all by myself in a quiet corner with a glass of mineral water in one hand and a lettuce in the other. I doubt that very much, Doug. Eventually, you'll see me scurrying off home to my orthopedic bed at around 8:30 p.m. alone. You'd probably never guess, but I actually used to work as a property developer. I really enjoyed it. It was our family business, so I did everything from accounts, general administration, to doing a bit of fetching and carrying. I even drove the dumper truck and operated the JCB. Jeff Bezos looks positively lazy compared to me. But when I had 12 to 18 months of recovery time ahead of me, my job had to play second fiddle. The reality of facing a lengthy road to recovery trumped all other considerations. At 59, I was no spring chicken, and I was a case of what's more important, work or health. Luckily, I was in a good financial position. I was working because I wanted to, not because I needed to. When I faced the reality that the fruits of one's labors become superfluous without the presence of a healthy mind and body, priorities became a no-brainer. The question was, what on earth would occupy my time once I was back on my feet? Golf? No chance. I cannot abide anything whatever to do with golfing. Yes, he's like a $6 million man, isn't he? We can rebuild him. And he's rubbish at golf anyway. I'm no house husband either. any more than I was a new man during the 1990s. Nappies filled with baby poo still make me retch. Sorry if you're having your breakfast. To this day, I'm far too much of a male chauvinist and self-confessed narcissist. Wow, to suddenly don a pale blue gingham pinny and morph into Mrs. Mop, even out of sheer boredom. And by the way, no, I don't think housework is just all for women. All I know is it's not for me. See what he did there? Retirement wouldn't be so bad if only I had a hobby, but I've never really had one. That's because I always thought that hobbies are generally the preserve of geeks and anoraks. I guess this explains why I've never owned a Meccano or a Hornby train set. I can't play the guitar or the trombone either, and I sure as hell can't sing. I'm an utterly talentless oaf, and I'm ridiculously cack-handed to the point of attracting a syndrome label. But by far, my biggest old age issue is my latest diet sheet. This is a carefully crafted document designed by heartless vegans, a sort of last-ditch attempt to help cut down the risk of heart disease or stroke. However, the main side effect of this low-cholesterol diet is that of chronic boredom. Basically, I need to forsake everything I ever enjoyed eating. Everything I actually ever enjoyed eating. Alcohol is not allowed either, because it apparently makes people fat. But I've been thinking, why deny myself all the good things in life? What was the point of actually recovering from that horrible bike accident if staying alive now means eating a diet of lentils and couscous? He's a wicked stereotyper, isn't he? And I often pull him up on this. But anyway, we'll forgive him that license on this particular article and all he's been through at the moment. I may as well just eat sawdust with bits of dried apricots thrown in for good measure. In a few short weeks, I shall be turning 62. When I saw the Grim Reaper admiring my son's KTM motorbike from the grass verge of doom, I decided that living a little longer might be a considerably better prospect than what old Skeletor had to offer. Very Halloween. As I mentioned earlier, I'm writing this piece on the beautiful island of Malta. Sunrise over Valletta Harbour this morning was a magical sight, so I'd like to see a bit more of that sort of thing, if at all possible. Skeletor can just jog on and take his scythe with him. To achieve such humble aspirations, I don't think a diet of steamed chicken and pulses is really what's needed to keep my pulse going. My pulse going, emphasis on the pulse, you see. I can't see any real advantage in eating health-promoting gruel and forsaking every Epicurean delight that have made my days special for over 6 decades. An extended life, here's to life then, right? On this day of life and death, from Doug. An extended life of pure misery might just feel as though it's a long life. Time flies when we're actually enjoying ourselves. Otherwise, living to the ripe old age of 12 might be considered a good innings. Well said there, Doug. It is that great paradox, is it not, of what to do, whether to follow all that advice that helps you live a much longer but much more miserable life. What a lovely segue here to tonight's webinar, Healthcare and Insurance in Portugal. Join us for that at 7:30 and the Dream Team at 9. It's a few minutes past 10 now. Sorry for keeping you, but I wanted to share that with you. Another hack here for coping with Halloween here and the trick-or-treaters. Remember to always check your kids' Halloween candy. Those peanut butter cups are for you. Okay, excellent parenting and Halloween hack right there. Thanks, T-Duck, for that. And see if you can forgive. See if you can forgive and forget YouTube's transgression against you this morning. Great to have you all here. Feliz Dia de Brujas. Another way of putting it, All Saints, All Souls coming up. Hit that like button as well, as Antonio F says, if you haven't done already. And a long and happy life to you, Doug. Thank you for sharing that with us. And haven't been here in a few months. Is it a reading club now? No, not on this occasion it has been, Erica. Just wanted to share those words of wisdom from Doug with you about living a long and happy life on this Halloween day, the precursor in Portugal to All Saints and All Souls, when we remember the dead and contemplate our mortality. Have a great day. And on that note, yes, on that bombshell, it works backwards. What? I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, Kate, that was some time ago in the chat. Yeah, take care. Bye for now. Have a great day. And I'll see you this evening. And if not, I'll see you tomorrow morning. It's the first. Yes, it is the 1st of November tomorrow. And we'll be talking to Savvy Cat and maybe Mr. O'Reilly as well. Take care. And bye for now. Ciao, ciao.
In Portugal, there's a huge will come and they will blow your mind. The audience will do so in kind. The little vanity mixed with some insanity on the morning show with GMP. Hey, Gumpers.